everybody, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, I would highly recommend that you go back and view my first 7 videos to better understand what I'm talking about and why I'm talking about it. For everybody else, welcome. It brings me so much joy to know that there's people who are ready and are willing to awaken their divine self within themselves. Today, I actually wanted to address a couple of issues, a couple of questions that have been brought to my attention. Question number 1: what do you mean by awakening? To be honest, I can tell you that when kids are born very much spiritually awake. They are aware of their surrounding, their physical surrounding, as well as the spiritual realms. And I know many times you found babies laughing by themselves, playing by themselves. Hey, I don't even need to explain that. I hope you get the picture. If this child is provided with the love that they desire and they trust their caregivers, that means when a child cries, they get what they need. The caregivers continue to provide this child with love and affection. This child will never have to have any need to put on a mask, to pretend to be someone they're not, or to even please anybody. This child would grow up as an awakened spiritual soul. There's many children around the world who don't lose grasp of these spiritual gifts, and they navigate their world in this physical world while still interacting with the spiritual realms. Well, my story is different, however. I was born in my family at a time where my parents were not financially stable. A lot of things were not going well for my parents. Take care of yourself first before you take care of another person. So obviously, if a lot was not going well with my parents, I had no chance. At least with me keeping my spiritual gifts. So at a very young age, I was sent away to boarding school. And I realized that I wasn't the center of the world. So I'm going to attempt to tell you this story from 3 different perspectives. If you have any question as to what perspective really is, please just pause this, go back to my video titled Understand Your Perspective. And 1 is going to be my perspective as a child. 2, the perspective of my mother, which I have come to confirm with her. And 3, my perspective from a spiritual side. Okay, so I remember life was fun. Life was amazing. We spent so much time in the garden with my father, the Shamba boys, my mother, my grandmother. I just remember the smell of cilantro. But something happened when I was 3 years old. My mom disappeared for a few days. Okay, this is my perspective as a child. For a few days, I couldn't count. So for a few days, I didn't see my mother. I remember my cousins would come over to my house like in the evening and they would stay with me. I would get a shower from my cousin, eat, get ready for bed. And for those 3 days, my stomach felt like, wow, my life is going to end. Where's my mother? Where's my mother? And why are all these people here pretending that my mother is not missing? Because she's missing. And I can't see her. I can't find her anywhere. And I think it was 3 days later, it felt like maybe, I don't know. A few days later, my mom appeared. I remember seeing her walking down the stairs because our house was like on a lower level. You had to come down some stairs to access our front yard. And I was so happy. And she was carrying a bundle with her wrapped up. And she got in, she said hi to me. She put this bundle in the middle of her bed. Okay, she used to have a king size bed, And then she proceeded to go use the bathroom, which was outside the house. And being the curious little girl that I was, I obviously was curious. Every time my mom brought anything home, she always shared it with me. If it was bread, biscuits, chocolate, name it. But she didn't say anything about this. So I went to my mother's room and I climbed on the bed. And from in my community, babies, oh, they are precious. They are precious. They are bundled. It's like you're not supposed to show off your baby to nobody. You just cover them up. So I went and I tried to uncover this thing, and I'm unfolding the towel, I'm unfolding the baby shawls, and then I saw a leg, I saw a hand, I saw a face, and I was like, oh my God, what a precious gift. You mean to tell me that my mom brought me a real life doll? Okay. So now I was excited as a child. When I get something excited, what do? I want to go show it off. So I start pulling the leg down, pulling it so it can get to my level. Okay, remember I'm only 3 years old. And now I'm down, I'm stepping on the ground, but I continue to pull this baby with me. And I was holding the legs, and I can tell the bum is off. It's like just about to get off the bed. And then my mom appeared. Okay. I looked at her and we locked eyes. And she said, Fiddey. And I was like, she came, she took the baby, she put the baby back. Wow. And I got a serious beating. And when I got a serious beating, I asked, what the hell? Like, what the... Why did I get beat up? What did I do? And I asked, what is that? And it was like almost coincidentally, because when I asked, what is that? Family members, we used to live in a homestead, okay? So it's not just my mother. It's not just a house. My grandmother's house was there. My auntie's house was there, And people started trickling in. And everybody was just so amazed and so mesmerized to see this newborn baby. Okay? Nobody was paying any attention to me. And as a child, I started catching feelings. I said, why? I used to steal the show. And now that thing is getting everybody's attention. From as a child, I labeled that thing a threat. Okay? And when I labeled that thing a threat, I decided it was not going to come and overtake my life. All right? So that was the beginning of my relationship with my dear sister Njoki. And then after that happened, a few months later, my mom was sending me to school. Okay? And I thought to myself, wow, why would she want to send me away from her? I leave them at home every day. Why doesn't she want me to stay with her? Okay, so again, I labeled that, hey, that threat is taking over my mother. My mother doesn't even want me anymore. And so I'd go to school out of just feeling so neglected, like, well, my mother said I need to come, so I'm here. I tried to escape several times. That's a story for another day. But it seemed very important that I remain in school, and so I did. And so I was obviously in school for the wrong reason. I wasn't there to study. I just knew I needed to be here for X amount of hours. And I knew that when we had our 4 o'clock juice, it didn't take long before we could go home. So I really longed and prayed and tried to manifest that 4 o'clock juice to come closer and closer and closer to the beginning of school as possible. And then from there, I was sent to a public school that I didn't like, and then sent to a boarding school. And this confirmed for me even more that that threat has really convinced my mother that I'm useless, I'm not needed. And my mother has believed it. So I started talking to my father. So I'd go to my father and I'd say, Dad, I don't like being in school. I don't like being so far away from all of you. You know, in the hope that I would win my father's heart and he would get me back home. But I mean, it didn't work out. My dad said, you have to go to school. School is important. And I did. So I went to school. That's one perspective. Now, this story from my mother's perspective.